I have a real honor to introduce this next speaker to you. She's somebody that I continue to learn from, and I love it. And I think that's the thing. Every day is a school day. You're never in our profession too long that you can't keep learning. So this beautiful woman has traveled a long way to be with us. She is a 100 Club National Marketing Director all the way from the United States of America. Moving from Louisiana to California to be closer to her children, Cheryl has been an NMD for over 30 years. In this time, she has mentored and promoted 196 national marketing directors. There's a goal. She became one of the original 100 Club members and received the highest honor within the Juice Plus company, the Founders Award. Cheryl's success is grounded in the fundamentals she applies to herself and those she works with, including a professional identity and pride, a strong work ethic, and a genuine dedication to helping others. Can I please get you on your feet to give a great Juice Plus welcome to Cheryl Cortese.
Such a joy and an honor to be here. It's like I want to pinch myself. I love following the NMD speeches because I think they're just so inspiring. Don't you love the NMD speeches? And also want to thank Celine and the Glennies and everyone who was kind enough to invite me to come. I really am honored. I have to tell you, I've been to Australia one time in my past. It was in 1984, which was probably before many of you were born. And I want to tell you, if you were not born then, your country was amazing in 1984, and it's amazing today. And I love the honor of being here. It's very exciting for me. So today, just want to share with you as much as I possibly can condense in a short time of the 31 years that I've been with the Juice Plus company. And it's amazing. I'm looking forward to the next 31 years. But I still am just, absolutely. I still am just, I guess you would say, amazed that this is my profession. I never thought I would grow up and this would be what I do. And yet it's something that I love and that inspires me daily. I can actually remember very well when I was 5 years old having a conversation with my mother as to what I wanted to be when I grew up. And the year was 1950, and she said to me, and I can remember this very clearly, she says, you have three choices. You can be a teacher, you can be a nurse, or you can be a secretary. And because those were the only professions at that time that were open to women. There were really no others. And so I became a teacher. My mother was a teacher. Most of my family were teachers. And so it felt like the most comfortable thing to do. I married and had 2 children, and life seemed to be, just right on track. And then things changed drastically. I'm from South Louisiana, and just to give you a little background. From the southern part of the state. And that area, 31 years ago, was a very prosperous area. People did extremely well, and life seemed good. And then, as I said, everything just drastically changed. Our whole economy, the base of our economy, was the petroleum, oil, and gas business. And that business moved to the Middle East. And when it did, everyone's jobs went with it. It became very difficult for people, and you saw all the signs of economic depression. People lost their jobs, they lost their homes. Many marriages came apart, and mine was one of them. So I found myself in a situation that was quite desperate, I felt. By that time, both my parents were dead, so it wasn't like I could take my children and go home. I was teaching, and I was teaching on a university level, but even that brought very little income. And so my children were about middle school at that time, and something that was very important to me was that I be able to provide education for them, college for them. Actually, I can remember at the time a very pressing point was my daughter was just entering high school, and I really wanted to buy her a prom dress that I couldn't afford. And so I had to really try to expand my perception as to how I could create additional income and try to keep us above struggle. And I came across this company, and I can remember thinking, well, maybe I could do this part-time. And so I started with that thought that I would do it part-time. But if any of you have heard of Jeff Roberti, he was my sponsor, and of course he had a little bigger picture that he invited me to step into. But I started on a part-time basis, and a very surprising thing happened over that first year. I just fell in love. I fell in love with the product. I fell in love with the people. I fell in love with the marketing plan and the pay plan. And at that point, I decided this would be my full-time career, and school was out. And so it has been that. And really what I think was very empowering and still is exciting to think about today is that I could not only create abundance for myself, but I could help other people create abundance for themselves as well. I love the idea that I could design a big and powerful business. This is something that I didn't think was possible for women. I realized that a door had opened for me, a door that I did not think was available to women. And that was the door that led to serious and big business. I found myself on the world stage of big business. No glass ceiling, equal opportunity for everyone, both men and women alike. And it really was exhilarating. It's still exhilarating today. It still inspires my heart and my mind and my spirit that we really get to not only do well ourselves, but empower and teach other people to do well also. And so I felt like, well, it's really a teaching profession if you think about it. And so it seemed to fit very well. So today, what I would like to do is not so much of what I guess I would call a formal training, but just have a conversation with you about the things that I feel like have been foundational to the evolution and development of my business over the past 31 years. I didn't expect it to be what it became. It is something that kind of spans the globe, and with that business expansion also came a great deal of, I guess you would say, emotional revenue. The friendships, the happiness, the fun that's come along. It has been really a very extremely happy time in my life all these years and continues to be. So if we look over the past 30 years, and for any of you who know me, you may know my assistant. Her name's Missy. And Missy's been with me for 30 of the 31 years. We were neighbors. She had small children. She wanted to be able to really stay at home with her children. And so she started helping me about the end of that first year. And we kind of grew up in this together, you might say. She's not a distributor, but she's great as far as keeping me on track, I guess you would say. But she puts together all of the events and things that we do. And she was talking to one of the national marketing directors, one of the younger national marketing directors recently. And the person asked her, he said, what do you think, if you look at all of it, why do you think it's been this successful? And she said something that I thought, and she said it was right off the top of her head, but it's something that I feel like is simple but very powerful. She said, well, you know, we get up every day and go to work. We take this very seriously. And so I think that would be foundational, really, is that from the very beginning, even though I didn't realize it would grow into the powerful business that it did, I treated it with the respect that it deserved as far as being in business. So if we look at some of the points, one is that, you know, I do have a strong work ethic, and I'm committed to a positive outcome. And one of the things I've noticed about those of you that I've had the privilege to work with is that Australians do have a very strong work ethic, and that's a real gift in a sense because there are many people who don't have that skill. So it's something you really want to employ. And also, not only a strong work ethic, but a commitment to a really positive outcome. Expect success. It's available, and you can expect it. Also, you want to really have a strong, serious business mindset. You want to employ yourself at a high level. I employ myself at a high level because I want to be paid at a high level. And I want to teach my team to employ themselves at a high level as well. I think it's important to clearly identify your own professional image. How do you see yourself within your business? I see myself as a team builder. I feel like I'm one of the best there is, and I'm getting better every day, and I'm working at getting better every day in team development. When I was teaching at the university, the person who was the man who was the recruiter for the football team had his office right down from mine, and I heard the word recruiter, and when I looked at this, they were talking about recruiting team. So I went down to his office and I said, "Tell me, what does a recruiter do? What do you do?" And he said, "Well, my job is to search out the best in the land to put together a winning team." And so that's how I look at myself professionally, is I am searching out the best in the land always to put together a winning team. It's important also to look at how do you feel about what you do? Are you proud of what you do? I take pride in what I do. I'm very proud of the job that I do. I'm proud of the company that I'm with. I'm proud of the profession that I'm in. I'm proud of the marketing model that I represent. Because as time goes on, it becomes an integral part of you. Also, I think it's really important to be able to cast a big vision. And this is something that I learned from Jeff Roberti very early on. If you were going to tell what a massive and big business it could be. I love the Juice Plus product. I've not missed that product one day in the 26 years that we've had it. I feel like it's really given me my physical edge. But I equally love the business itself. I love explaining the full potential of the pay plan. And I'm going to invite you to really fall in love with the pay plan because it can be limitless as time goes on. And I have to say, too, when I first saw the pay plan, it was like someone was asking me to read a foreign newspaper or speak a foreign language. But as you grow in it and grow up in it, it becomes something that is very powerful as you acquire the knowledge of it and giving you confidence in sharing your business. Also, you may have heard a little bit from Sean today that that's going to become even simpler as we look at corporate today and the field, the founders in the field collaborating to really bring the simplest form of our business and our business explanation. But really know and fall in love with your pay plan, with the power of it. Be proud to show it and tell it. Discover what others want in their life, and then help wrap this around what they want. You wrap this around what you have to offer and what they need. Really help people translate those numbers into real, tangible returns. To say to someone, if this is something that appeals, what if we could, remove your house note or your car note, that payment that you have. Help people get a picture of how the pay plan itself can really translate into tangible life. Another thing that I feel that's extremely important from a business standpoint over the years is to stay connected. Stay really connected to your team. I believe in creating traditions in your organization to stay connected, to also cast that big vision. If I look at the organization's progression over the years, in 1989, we started what we call our Monday night call, and it's still our Monday night call. We've not missed a Monday night in 30 years. Whether it's Christmas or New Year's or whatever, we're going to be there on Monday night. We started with 5 people in 1989, and it actually cost me, because it was very expensive to have a conference line at that time, my entire bib money, which was $3,000 a month, for 4 hours a month, 1 hour every Monday night. So we took it very seriously. But that evolved over the years because of the consistency of it, that today, every Monday night, between 800 and 1,000 people show up, and it provides information, inspiration, but most importantly, it keeps the organization connected, and together we can cast a really big vision of who we are and what we have to offer. As my organization began to grow, on Monday mornings, we would then have the leadership call. At first, we were just sales coordinators, and then we were Qs, and then we grew up into national marketing directors. So today, it's a national marketing director call every Monday morning, and that is to stay connected. And we have had that call every Monday morning now for about 24 years. It gets our week set. So again, it's a tradition of what people can count on. We do recognition event. For us, it's the Gimme Awards, which is always a big party, a big recognition party. But we've not missed that now for 24 years, actually on the company's 50th anniversary. Next year, 2020, it'll be our 25th year for that particular event. We developed a Q school, which is, again, 18 years old. Our Qs show up in the summer for advanced training. So those are just examples of creating traditions which create connection, which people can depend on. And then over time, there creates a synergy and a rhythm to your business that creates a real strong foundation, and it's very powerful. I think it's also, and I know you all realize this, that if you set up for duplication, that duplication is really that's it as far as your business, really accessing the pay plan at the highest level, accessing the return that you can have at the highest level. It's to set up for duplication. And the only way you can do that is by you doing the paying activities that you want to happen in your organization. You become the model. Whatever you do is going to be copied, okay? So if you look at your own activity, and it's one of the things I always admired about Jeff, was that Jeff's goal was always to be the best distributor in his organization and to do the production that he wanted to see duplicated, and that does happen. So people do not do what they hear, they do what they see, and what they see and what they experience. So you're the model, and duplication is set up by you being the one to always demonstrate the activity. I believe there are really 4 basic fundamentals that create the foundation for any business, but particularly for this business. And the first one would be self-responsibility. I am responsible for where I am in my business, in my life, at any point in my life. And so taking self-responsibility is a very important part, I feel like, of success in this. If you want the results, you have to accept the responsibility. But with this comes something really amazing and wonderful. If you have total and have taken total responsibility, then you're the one that's in control. You're the one that's in control of your outcome. You're the one that's in control of your activity. You're in control of your life. You're in control of your future. You're in control of your happiness. So self-responsibility puts you in the driver's seat. The second would be self-determination. Really determined that this is going to be something that is going to be successful. Determined to do whatever it takes to get the desired results. This is where passion shows up. And passion shows up and is reflected in your daily method of operation. You've heard it, the DMO, your daily method of operation. If anyone were to ask me, what is the most powerful advice you could give over the years, it would be identifying the activities that pay and doing that consistently every day. So consistency is the key. Consistency, if it's an hour a day, 2 hours a day, and I will have to say for me, that means weaving this into whatever while you're out in the world, whatever in your life you're doing. And it means telling the story, the product story, the business story. It's all about story. So it's going through the numbers and telling the story, but consistent paying activity. A paying activity is an activity that eventually results in either a team member or a customer. And so what are the things that you do for that to come about, and you do them consistently? And I would encourage you to lean into the things that you love. One of the things that I share with my organization often and we talk about is you want to lean into your strengths. Things that you really enjoy, and everything else will catch up if you're leading with your strengths. So important to realize that your DMO, or your daily method of operation, will never let you down. Only you can let your daily method of operation down. So if you're consistent with that daily method of operation, it's going to pay off. Another important point would be that repetition ensures integration. Often, I'll see new distributors say, well, it seems like I've heard that over and over, or I'm doing that over and over. You want to do that over and over. You want to have repetition. Think about driving your car. When you learned to drive the car, you had to pay attention to every little aspect of it. But when you get in it today, you don't have to really think at exactly what has to be done at every second. The brain actually creates that habit so that it can pay attention to other things. So if you really repeat the activities that pay over and over, they'll become intrinsic and they'll become second nature to you. The third fundamental would be self-motivation. Too often, I think we all depend on, other things that are going to motivate us. Certainly, there are things that are great motivators. Conventions are great motivators. There are many things that we do that encourage and motivate others and that we become encouraged by. But true development of your business, true strength comes from that inner self-motivation. And it's really that inner motivation is what drives a powerful business. So for me and for many of our discussions that we have within our organization, we talk about what's the driver. What is it that drives you to get up in the morning and consistently do it? To do it whether people are very responsive or whether they're not, that you're very consistent with it. And that driver really needs to be bigger and greater than any fear you can have or any disappointment that you might meet with. Because we all do. We all have fears, we all have disappointments on every level. But if there's something that's more important to you than those fears or disappointments, then really, search for that, because that's where self-motivation comes from, and that's what you want to harness within yourself and know. So self-responsibility, self-determination, self-motivation equal the fourth fundamental, which is self-functioning. At what level do you function within your business? Do you want to function at $1,000 a month? $3,000 a month? Maybe $10,000 a month? How about 20, 30, 40, 50, 60? Within my organization, people function at all of those levels and higher. So it's all going to be determined by the level at which you employ yourself, your daily method of operation. So if you look at designing a business, a powerful business, you're going to design a business that has a very clear daily method of operation that you're going to follow. Once you have the fundamentals in place, then it's just a matter of the strategies and tactics that you put in place to facilitate that. We have recently within our organization been talking about, always staying close to the basics. If I look at my business 31 years ago or I look at it today, the basics are still exactly the same. It's the techniques that have changed. A rotary dial phone is now a Zoom call. You know, we have grown up in technology in a way that facilitates a much faster movement with our business. If I look across this room, what I did in 31 years, you'll do in 10, because of the ability to create the exposure of what you have to offer people. So it's a very, very powerful, powerful time. Just to give you some, I guess, highlights of things I've learned along the way, is that one of the things is you want to be a student of success. I have my entire career, I've watched Jeff do it, we do it to this day, is to listen to, others. I wanted to hear what the national marketing directors had to say when I was growing up in my business. I wanted to take what fit me. Didn't mean I had to do or be like anyone else. I could never be Jeff or Bertie. I can only be myself. But those things that fit, be a student of success. I'm here to teach, but I'm here to learn. I'm listening to you all to hear what you do and how you do it, because just that one little thing that you pick up from time to time makes this picture clearer and much more productive. Another thing would be to really acquire the ability to focus. It's a powerful skill. The acronym being follow one course until successful. Focus is really power. It's really the best gift you can give yourself. People who can truly focus access their abilities at the highest level. So you're really staying right on task. Also, people do business with people that they like and they trust. Live up to your word. Your word is the most valuable asset that you have. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're going to show up, show up. Over time, your word and how you live up to it will become your identity. So it's a very important aspect of our business. Also, be fully present in all interactions. Really, really listen. Listen not with just your mind, but also your heart. We're really in the feel-good business. I think it's very important that as you speak to people about your product, about your business, I feel that, when I have a conversation with someone, whether they love my product and they buy it or whether they don't, whether they become a team member or whether they don't, I want them to leave that conversation feeling good about themselves and good about me, because I really think that lays the path for a brilliant career, is people and their respect for you and yours for them. So if we talk about business philosophy, we really all have a business philosophy, the manner in which we interact and we work and we develop our businesses. And I think it would be important, too, to look to yourself as to what is your philosophy of your business. My basic philosophy is that in all interaction is to keep other people's best interests at heart. And when you do, the money will basically just follow you home. Also, my business philosophy, if we go past what I guess I just shared was the philosophical side, which is your thinking in relation to other people. But then if I look at the logistics of my business, my goal is to put my arms around as many new team members and help my team members put their arms around as many new team members as possible to help grow them up so that we can access the consumer market. Because it takes a huge team of people to reach the world, and together we access that market. If you look at where we are today, we certainly have traveled a long way since 1950. New technology, endless information, word of mouth travels at the speed of light at this point. And so, again, as I said, what took me 30 years will take you 10. We're one of the best examples of free enterprise and a small business that commands big business return. I think that's something that was very exciting when I really figured it out, was that I really was in big business, and it could be big business for me or anyone else. And yet it was loving, and it was gentle, and it was something that brought huge emotional revenue. And those two things together, I think, are almost impossible to come by in the traditional work world. There will be brilliant careers that will grow up within this company. There already have been, but they will be multiplied over and over and over. There will be people in this room that will grow huge businesses, and there will be people who have never heard of our company or our product that you will meet and that you will tell, or that I will tell, if you don't tell them, okay, I'll tell them, who will also grow brilliant, huge careers and businesses that will create millions in income. We have and will change the way goods and services reach the market. You are the face of the future, and it's very exciting. It's exciting where we are. I was sharing today that I can remember milestones over the years where you knew you were fixing to, as a company, as a group, as a team, you were fixing to lift off again and step up into a higher level. And we're really there today, especially with some of the changes that you'll see come about here over the next year. We're the ones who are opening the doors for others. And I think that's a very exciting place to be. I want to go back to the pay plan and just talk about that a little more, because I think many times we shy away from, the pay plan because it seems like it's so many numbers in so many different directions or whatever. And the truth of the matter is, they're going to pay you whether you understand it or not. But once you do understand it, there's a great confidence that comes along. But if you think about the pay plan, it's just numbers on a page. I think the really important thing to translate to others is what it turns into in real life. What do those numbers become in real life? If I look back on my own career, my daughter did get the prom dress that she wanted. Thanks to the pay plan, it took care of that. My children, by the time they entered college or that age, they could choose to go anywhere they wanted to go because the pay plan took care of that. It really provided for us freedom of choice in many different areas of life. And we got to see and do things that we would have never been able to do otherwise. And of course, life has its way, as we know, there are times that are really wonderful, and there are times that are also very challenging. And in challenging times, you don't always know the things that are going to come about. If I look back about, 16 years ago, my brother had just gone through a divorce, and he had a 14-year-old son that it was just he and the child. And the child was diagnosed with cancer. And you think that's not going to happen, in your family, or you don't know anyone who has it, then all of a sudden it's there. And because it was just he and the child, I went to stay and help him. There were going to need to be surgeries. And because the cancer was very unusual, it had attracted a doctor that was very powerful man who was just very good at what he did, but it was so unusual he wanted to take the case. So we showed up at the hospital for the first surgery, and it was realized that my brother did not, nor did the child, have insurance. And you have no idea how you're treated in our country if you don't have insurance. And what was horrifying to me was that admissions were awful to us. And they didn't take my brother aside and say to him, this is a problem. Instead, the woman looked right at the child and she said, "What makes you think that you have the right to be here or that we should treat you? Because you can't afford this." And to this day, I guess the anger still makes me tear up. But the pay plan took care of that day. So so when you look at those numbers and they look like, they're so overwhelming, don't think about the numbers on the page. Think about the lives you'll change because of it. Well, with 9 surgeries, he's a healthy young man today. But it was a difficult situation. Not long after that, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and you may have heard about 15 years ago that a storm called Katrina came through, and it was an equal opportunity storm. It just destroyed everything. And I may have been, I think, probably the only person, because my business was stretched across the world, that really left with any income where that storm was concerned. Insurance didn't show up for anybody for years and years. And so rebuilding and helping a few other people that I was close to rebuild, the pay plan took care of that. And and then there's one other thing I'm going to share with you before I close, because sometimes the pay plan takes care of things that turn out to be totally joyous, even though they start out difficult. My daughter had been trying to have a baby, and she lost one, and it just didn't seem like it was going to be possible. And so we tried fertility, and the things that go along with that were quite expensive, and insurance doesn't cover it. But after 3 tries with fertility, the fertility programs, she wound up with one son, who is my grandson, named Oliver. And so thanks to the pay plan, we have this child. So, you have so much power to offer people. Their health, their financial security. Financial security is really just freedom of choice. And that's a wonderful thing to be able to offer. If I think about this profession, I love it. It's really been and continues to be my love affair with the world. And, if I think about, my own grandchild or I'm sure just because he's been around enough, he's going to say, oh, I remember all those stories, the wild stories, the fun stories, but what was it you really loved? What was it that you really loved? And this is what I'll say. Being connected to this profession was one of the finest things that ever happened to me. The time spent with this company ennobled and enriched my life. It made me better and stronger than I could have ever been alone. It is and continues to be a worthwhile, joyful, and adventurous experience. And over the years to come, if I can instill this feeling in others, this passion for this business that we teach today, I will not only have experienced a worthwhile and joyful career, I will have left a legacy that truly enhances the lives of others. And I invite you to step into your own power and join us to do the same. Thank you.